Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and a new video on one of the little combo vans. This one is the first one we got and it is the worst one. It's quite mucky inside and it's the one that had the clutch gone. If you missed that video, please feel free to go back and check that out, where me and Chris removed the gearbox, fitted a new 3-piece clutch kit and then put it back together and got it driving. But for those of you guys that did watch the first video, you will know that this van has got a fault with the glow plugs. The light was staying on and it wouldn't go off, and then it was flashing. So first things first, the first thing we're going to try to actually resolve it, and very inexpensive, is 4 new glow plugs. Now what I did say to the chap this morning when I went and picked these up is, can you go on your system and tell me how many sets of these glow plugs you've sold recently? He said, Rob, I've got the last 28 days up here and we've sold 23 sets of these glow plugs. So obviously this is a notorious problem. I know that quite a lot of you are going to say, well, this part number will cross across different vehicles, and you're absolutely right. These probably do go in 3 or 4 different vehicles, so there's a good possibility that there is that in that as well. They could be for another vehicle, but they was inexpensive. They was £42, so just £11 each, sorry, £10.50 each. I'm going to start removing the airbox and get down to where the injectors are in this van and get them swapped out. But there is horror stories with injectors as well that's worth mentioning. Let me just come out the wind there. These are very, very fragile. Nice cup of coffee there, thank you very much, Chris. They're very, very fragile, and you hear horror stories of these actually snapping off in the heads. So we're going to take that off, spray some WD on there. I'll let that soak in while I drink that coffee Chris just made me, and hopefully we can get those out, get them swapped out and resolve the glow plug issue with this van today. So I initially took the airbox off there, removed all the connections off the end of the glow plugs, and guys, look, you can see why they probably never get done. That's your glow plug down in there, absolutely impossible to get. Then you've got the other one there, and there's just no gap between it. Possibly the only one I'll be able to get out is that one there, but that's going to be really, really awkward as well. So it does kind of explain why things like this never get done. From up here, just look at the gap we've got there. We have got no choice. The DPF's going to have to come off, and probably, more than likely, the turbo's going to have to come off as well. So quite a bit more work than what you would think just doing glow plugs, but it's got to be done. Let's crack on and get on with it. A lot of work there getting that out, guys. You can see I've disconnected the DPF there and pulled it down, and I'm going to be able to get to that one there as well, but I've just got the first one out and there it is there, and I've laid the new one right next to it just for a bit of a comparison really. But it's such an awkward job to get to, and you really can see why people don't do it. So I've got that one, I can definitely get to that one, but those two there, I think they are going to be the biggest problem, and I don't think I've got any option but to remove that turbo. And even that looks awkward because you've got one bolt up the top here and you've got 2 underneath, so I'm going to have to lie down with a big extension. But we will get there, we just keep on going through. I'm made up. I really had a bit of luck on my side there. If you can see, I've put that on the end of there, on the end of the bar, the extension bar, on the end of a shorter bar, and I managed to get it down in there, work from underneath, crack it once to loosen it, and then wind it out from the top. So we've now got 1, 2, 3. Where's the other one? Here it is. All 4 old injectors rather, glow plugs, sorry, late night. There is all the old glow plugs, and we've got 1 left to put in. But I did stick that on it as well, that spring-loaded flexi, and I was trying to unwind it from here, and all I've ended up doing is unwinding the flexi. So that is only a cheap one, and it really has shown. But let's get that last one fitted in there. I haven't had to touch the turbo, literally moved the DPF down, just undone the bolts and pulled it apart. So we'll get that glow plug back in there, and we can start piecing this back together and see if it solved the issue. But I'm made up that I haven't had to take that turbo off. I didn't want a time lapse there, just putting those few bits back together, because it's pretty much the reverse of what I've been doing already, so there was no need to show it. I've managed to get the DPF, the cap, back there clipped in. I've just got to do the bolt up, but I didn't want to do that up until I'd got the bracket back on the bottom and got those bolts in as well, just in case it pulls it down too much or pulls it up too much. But I'm just gonna crack on, get all of those put back together, get it bolted up, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that was the issue and it fires up. Let's see. Hopefully this is not too windy out here, guys, but I have put all the injectors back in. Why do I keep saying that? I've put all of the new glow plugs in, everything is back together, and I thought I'll just do it on camera because we're going to have to see if it solved the problem anyway. So that's the battery back on. I've checked over everything, checked it once, checked it twice, and it is all back together. It is a bit of a habit, but every time I go to start a car after the battery's been off, I've just always done it. Lock it and unlock it. On the older cars, the immobiliser used to cut in. On these newer ones, I'm sure they don't, but it is a bit of a habit. So the glow plug light's on, and it's gone off. Let's go. That was a bit of a fail, Chris. Oh dear. Worse, isn't it? Sounds like it. So, guys, obviously we started on the cheapest thing first, which was the glow plugs, because it looks like that's not the problem. When I was doing the research, they did say glow plugs or injectors. They're notorious for it. But we wanted to do the glow plugs first because they was cheap, and the injector route is going to be a little bit more difficult. They are all very easy to get to. Let's just pop that back out of there. You would have seen this morning when I had this off, the injectors are right there. The 4 injectors are now very, very easy to get off. But they are going to have to go over to Rochester to the diesel man that done the ones on the motorhome for me, and I'm going to have to get him to check them or refurb them. But that is obviously the issue. If I keep cranking it over, eventually it will start. I did it before, obviously when we got it started, but that's no good like that. What I'll probably do is leave that for a minute and then get on with putting the front bumper back together on it and actually starting the process of cleaning it, because I'm not going to be able to take them over there till tomorrow morning, and then they're going to have to be left with him a couple of days. But I'd really like to move on and get some of the other bits done on the van. I am going to sit there and just give it a couple more glows off camera and see if I can get it to fire up. I actually do think it is a diesel problem. It's obviously running back, or the injector holes have closed up, because after a few cranks in, it started up. And now when I turn it off, it'll probably start back up reasonably quick. See how quickly that started up, now it's warmed up. It's been running for about a minute and then it just fired up there, no problem at all. Such a shame. Let's get on and get it back together. Didn't take very long at all. I've spoken to the diesel fitter, the guy that does the injectors, and he said that I can drop those off there anytime tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is actually take them out at the end of the day or first thing tomorrow morning, whip them over there, and he's actually going to do some tests while I'm sitting there. Regardless of all that, we've got to get the van cleaned up anyway, and save sort of hanging it out and doing two separate videos. I'm just going to try and include it in this one. It's quite a reasonably short video anyway, and it does all need to be clean. So let's get on, give it a bit of a wash over out and see what it comes up like. It's actually not as bad as I thought, guys, inside this one. Thankfully, it did have a pair of mats in it, and they seem to have saved it from quite a hard life on the floor there. It has come up reasonably clean. All of the plastics are quite filthy, but I'm just going to get a bit of G101 on a rag, I think, and just go around and wipe everything over with some warm water. Try and get the inside done before I do the outside, because I don't want to be kneeling down and leaning in the water. Another mat in the passenger side. The floor is a little bit, it's quite dirty in there, but it'll clean up nice. And that seat is actually the worst bit about the whole van, because it's obviously just been resting stuff on it. The driver's seat's not even that bad, a little bit in the middle there, but we'll wipe that off with a bit of a rag, clean the steering wheel up. And the back of it, I mean, it's all dust. There's no real stains or horribleness in there, so I'm just going to run around and wipe all this over, and then I'll come back and we'll see what it looks like. I'm not going to go too crazy on this one. It is going to be just a cheap little work van. But I've done all round the shuts, all round the outside of the door, and all round the both doors inside. And I've just done the floors. They actually come up nice. You would have seen with that airline. Actually, I don't think I had it switched on, but I went over all the floors with the airline and the dust was going everywhere. I managed to get a lot more of it out. I've shined up and cleaned up all of the dashboard, all round the gear stick. I haven't done the other side yet. You can still see that door panel's still quite mucky. And I did do, instead of stripping it all out, I actually just kept getting it out. I got a bucket of G101 and some water, just kept going over it. That mat, I've just wiped that over by hand, but really, I will jet wash that off when I jet wash the outside of the cab. But all the door panel, everything's come up quite nice on it, so get in there. I'm going to crack on, get the other side done. I've only had about an hour doing the cleaning on the inside, and I haven't done inside the back there yet. We've got to chuck it back on the ramp and put the under tray on, and that is in the back. But I've got a bit of hoovering out to do in there, a bit of vacuuming out, and clean up all this back area, both sides. But for the inside, I'm not going to do any more than that. I think that that looks perfectly presentable for a work van. I have given all these just a quick wipe over with a damp cloth with G101 on it. I'm not going to go to town and clean them because they just don't need it. There is a hole in that seat there, and I would think that that is probably caused by, at some point, there's been a mouse in here. It looks like there's little bite marks, but all of the dash has all come up really, really nice. The floor all come up nice. Like I said, I'm going to jet wash those mats. We're going to pick this video back up in the morning and jet wash the outside, and I'm going to actually do those mats. But look at the door panels, they all come up really nice, and again all round the edges of the doors, and of course all in the shuts as well. I went to town and done them all, and it has only been about an hour's work, so we'll pick up in the morning and clean the outside. So only a minute there for you guys, but I've just probably had a couple of hours on it, and look at the difference. This van is very, very clean. There's hardly a mark on it. If I bend down there, you can see there's a couple of very, very minor dents in the edge of that seal. One there and one there. But again, not worth doing, definitely not worth doing. Really has come up nice. I'll tell you a little bit more about the starting issue after we've walked around it here. I did clean out all in the back, the best I could get it. I mean, you could take that carpet out and probably jet it off and do something with it, but I said before, I'm not going to get involved in it too much. It is a work van at the end of the day. Those wheel trims have really finished it off as well. It just looks completely different. Let's jump in it and I'll show you the inside. So the back, you could chuck a couple of mats in the back, but it's all come up reasonably nice. And in the main bit, in the front here, it's come up very, very nice. I've jetted those mats off. Right, let's talk a little bit about the starting issue on the van. Now that it is warmed up, I've had it running for a little while, you put the key in. And it starts reasonably quick and it sounds perfect. So this morning, me and Chris was having a bit of a chat about that, and we said what the next option was to go and drop those injectors up to Rochester diesels. But regardless of having if the injectors are the issue, they're the issue. If they're not, they're not. But you wouldn't want to put new or reconditioned injectors in without changing the fuel filter. Now, I have checked the fuel rail and the pressure's fine, but that's not to say that, I mean, you're just not going to put the refurbished or cleaned injectors in without putting a new diesel filter in. So I've just rung up and ordered one, and that is on its way. So I mean, it has come to the end of today's video. I'm not going to be able to get much more in there, otherwise I won't be able to put it out for you guys. So what we do is we'll just look into it, do a bit more research, find out what the issue is, and then we'll do another video on what the issue is and how we resolved it. But let me know what you think's wrong with it in the comment section down below. I know quite a lot of you that follow are mechanics or fitters, and you have had dealings with these particular vans, because quite a few of you did leave me comments saying, you're right Rob, it could be this, it could be that, etc. So if anyone has got a good idea, chuck it in the comment section down below, and please do let me know. So a bit of a fail there with that one, guys, I'm afraid. We just don't know. Is it injectors? Is the diesel running back? We just genuinely don't know the answer to it. So we're going to have to go through it all. And I didn't want to hold this video back, send the injectors off, have them done, put them back in. It's far too much waiting around. And I thought it's probably the wrong way around, actually giving it a good clean and getting it finished before we'd solved that issue. But you know us, regardless, that issue's getting sorted, and it always had to be cleaned anyway. So it's just done now. It's completely ready. As soon as we've solved that issue, that is ready to go. And it'll be nice really to get it done and get it gone. We've been having a little bit of a think about this one, and I'll normally wait till the very end, but I'll put it out there now, subject to it not costing us too much to actually rectify this problem. We're going to be asking about £2,500 for it. I noticed in the last couple of videos when I did mention what we was going to be asking for it, we did get inundated with messages saying, I want it, give me a call, I'm very interested. Guys, we will not sell that van until we're completely finished with it. So as soon as it's ready, of course, I will chuck it on Instagram and put it up for sale. The other little thing just quickly I'm going to mention, the guy that does the merch, he reached out to me last night and said, can you just let everybody know if they do want orders processed and delivered before Christmas, those orders do need to be in by the 12th. So you got about a week left there. That is going to be the end of today's video. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. I'm really going to appreciate the support in the comment section about what you think may be wrong with this. Like, subscribe and share. Check us out on Instagram where we put little sneak peeks out at Salvage Rebuilds, and we'll see you very soon in the next one.